Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So as an English teacher in South Korea, I've noticed that many Koreans are interested in living, working, studying, or even just traveling in the US. So I thought it might be useful to talk about the pros and cons of living in the US. As an American, one of America's strongest points is truly freedom of expression. I remember visiting Philadelphia a few years ago and seeing a guy on a bike in the street. He was a black guy with tattoos and a mohawk that was dyed blonde, and no one cared. No one was staring at him. In America, this kind of fashion, this kind of expression is totally normal and acceptable. I remember thinking, wow, it's really free in America. You can wear almost anything and no one will stare at you. Now, I'm sure this is a bit different if you're not in a big city in the US. I can't speak to every small town in America. But for many parts of America, it's everyone looks and is so different that there is no normal. Therefore, there are no outsiders. Going along with this, anybody can become an American. Even if you have an accent, you can still become an American. My Spanish-speaking relatives are proof of this. As long as you make an effort to learn and speak English, most people will accept you. Again though, this is just my experience growing up in a very diverse neighborhood in the United States. And I know that it can be very case by case. As far as something that I'm not a fan of about America, it's tipping culture. Last year in America, I went into a cookie store with my sister. I bought one cookie and the cashier put a big iPad in my face and asked me, "How much would you like to tip, sir?" in a loud voice so that everyone in the store could hear her. It felt like she was putting social pressure on me to tip after buying one cookie, and I really didn't like that. So in America, we tip for delivery, haircuts, taxi rides, of course, restaurants, bars, valet parking, and apparently now we tip for cookies. It's gone way overboard, and at this point, we really need to rethink this whole tipping culture. It's extremely burdensome to the consumer, not to mention all the people visiting the United States. Imagine how confused they must be. Anyway, in this video, Anna, the American host for this channel, asked people living in America what are the pros and cons of living in the US. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Without further ado, let's begin.
What's the first thing that pops in your head when I say positive things about America?
I'm a food lover, so Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna say Chick-fil-A. The hot dogs in America are really good.
Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A.
Have lots of freedom to make choices as to what we want to be and what we want to do.
Well, the freedom of religion. Some countries, they don't have that.
We have the freedom of religion, free speech. We have the freedoms of opportunity, you know, men and women alike. There's a lot of talk that there's still a lot of inequality between men and women, but I have a hard time with that because I just think we've come a long ways with equality in terms of men and women. There's a lot women can do that in some countries they're still not able to do.
Life's great. I'm honestly really proud to be an American. I mean, I've been here my whole life.
Being able to practice religion is pretty cool.
Women have the choice to work or stay home with their families, you know, if they're able to. And just both men and women have a lot of opportunity to be able to go to college. They can go into the different fields that they're interested in. People have the opportunity to create businesses and make a living for themselves in all sorts of different ways, which I think is awesome. We do have a beautiful landscape.
The national parks are absolutely beautiful, especially here where we live. There's easy access to a lot of different varieties of nature where you can go and wander around and see how beautiful the earth is.
There are lots of states to go to, and there's very little restriction between states. Like I can just drive to another state, I can experience their culture, I can see their stuff.
Yeah, I guess like piggybacking off of that, like I think America's really pretty and there's like a lot of diversity in where you can go. Like Texas is way different than New York, or you know what I mean, or Florida's way different than Oregon. Like there's a lot of variety in what you can see in the United States.
Well, I'm in the Air Force, so our military is already top notch. You know, we rule the skies, so best thing about America would definitely have to be what I do, you know, in the Air Force. So
one particular thing that is really great about America is the opportunity that we give to ourselves and the other people who come to America. I mean, that's been our story for all of America. America's history is people coming from other countries to have an opportunity to live the life that they dream to have. And the American dream is that it's a land of opportunity and the ability to fulfill your dreams and to go out and attain it. And I don't think that's something we should ever forget.
I like all the different cultures. Like it's like there's some of everything everywhere, you know? It's like just a mixing pot of everybody.
I think that America is very diverse in ways that I sometimes can't comprehend, that just because I live in one place and a lot of people look like me, there are other places within my same country that I've never been to, may never go, that have people that are completely different from me, but we're all Americans, which is super cool.
How many times have I said the word freedom, just like over and over again? And I could go on and on about the positives of America. I'm gonna be completely honest. And the negatives about America are things that we can fix if we really want to. What's the first thing that pops in your head when you think of negative things about America?
Traffic.
Traffic, that's so real.
People not using their blinkers.
I'll go with traffic.
Traffic's the worst!
Yeah.
Cons, we don't have good public transportation.
No.
Could work on that.
College is so expensive.
College is really expensive.
College is so expensive.
I think like gun laws are not super great. Like that's like a lot of parents are worried about, like sending their kids to school. Like I think that's
like you think they're too strict or not strict enough?
I don't think they're strict enough. I don't mean to get political either,
okay.
But yeah, like I think that's the thing that like a lot of parents worry about, and like sending their kids to school.
Taxes. Just get rid of them.
I'm with you.
Free healthcare.
A lot of times people feel like they're intimidated and they're afraid to say something. They're just afraid to speak out for fear they lose their job or what have you. And that's sad.
The negatives of living in America is that I think the people of America have gotten a little complacent and they don't quite realize what they have. Like with the freedoms and everything that we have, when you've had something good for a while, you tend to take it for granted. It's frustrating to watch that and see that.
Too many people don't appreciate those freedoms.
The first things first is that across the country, history is not taught the same way. Different states have different textbooks which then teach different things. For example, teaching about the Civil War in the North, it's called the Civil War, and in the South, it's called the States Revolution, and it's taught in totally different ways.
The two-party system sometimes pits people against each other a lot, where it feels like a very us versus them thing, when in reality, we're all people who live here and we should all have an equal say in what happens.
The large land mass kind of sometimes keeps us apart. It's such a big place and there's so many different regional interests, you know, and some of it has to do with just geography. Like I'm on the coast, so I care about different things than I would if I was in the interior or whatever.
The way that students are able to express their religion is very Christianity biased, so it benefits more Christian students than any other denomination of belief.
We have basic things that we're alike, but sometimes we tend to focus on our differences. So like I could dislike somebody from Texas without even knowing who they are, just because I don't like the Texas vibe or whatever. I don't think that they agree with me or whatever. So
there are no more free lunches in most school districts anymore.
Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Did you enjoy it? If so, let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.